Welcome to the DDT Archives present the Indy Lounge. This is our inaugural show, and we couldn't be more excited to have our guest today. He is the man under par.
But above you all. There you go.
How's everything going?
Oh, I'm doing good. Other than this COVID going on, man, like everything else is doing good. How about y'all?
We're doing fine.
Well.
We're doing all right, man. Hanging in there, having fun doing these shows, and the opportunity to talk to you and doing our regular podcast. It's given us a lot of time to work on these projects, man. When you're like Chris is working, I'm not working, so like I said, it's like, hey, I get to enjoy my hobby, right?
Right. Gee. Dang. I've only done maybe 2 to 3 podcasts and interviews like this, so I mean I'm still freshly new into doing these things, but I honestly think I'll start enjoying them more and more as I start doing more and more of them.
Well, just to pull the curtain back, this is the first interview we've ever done.
Really?
Yes. So we
I did an interview.
Oh,
once.
you did one a long time ago, like we remember. But yeah, man, like this is we watch our MO is we watch old pay-per-views. We talk about like old stuff. We do lists and fun things like that. But this is the new wrinkle to our brand. So we're so honored to have you on here and to tell your story. So please welcome. Don't be nervous. I'm as scared as you are. Don't worry about it, man.
Oh Lord, all right.
I got to be honest, man. Brittany couldn't have said nicer things about you. She dropped me a message before, telling me how great you are. Kind of give us the backstory on how you got started.
Well, even though back then, if you would say this, you get blackballed in the business. But way after I started watching wrestling and all that, I did backyard wrestling. So yeah, a little insight. Did backyard wrestling from my sophomore year of high school till my senior year, and me and my buddies, we'd just go to one of the friends' house. We made a makeshift ring out of tires and plywood. At one point, we had hoses as our ropes. That didn't last long. And then eventually, my friend somehow had money and like enough money to get a ring from a guy, and we were actually wrestling in a real ring. And after that, the guy who technically introduced me to his backyard fed, he introduced me to Elev8 Pro because he was training there, and I was very interested into going to a wrestling school and training. And he's like, "Hey man, yeah, you should come train at Elev8 Pro in Chalmette." And I was like, "Oh really? Like, you're doing that?" And he's like, "Yeah, dude. Like, they said you should come down and come check it out and see if you like it." So I went one night with him, and after that, the rest is history. I mean, I signed up, did what I had to do, and I made my debut May 19th of 2018. So next month's going to be my 2-year anniversary traveling wise since I've started wrestling.
That's awesome. That's an awesome story. And I just got to get this out of the way. For somebody who's only been in the business for 2 years, you have the best merch I've ever seen.
Thank you.
We'll plug everything later, but it's at Pro Wrestling Tees. You'll see the man under par, Dale Springs, and it is. I'm a golfer, so I was like, oh man, I was so happy to have you on because I just love. So maybe tell us a little bit about how you developed your character.
All right. Well, before I wanted to do the golfer, the very first gimmick or character I wanted to do was this 5-star athlete. And because I was doing that in the backyard, and I pitched it to the original trainer / owner of Elev8, and he was like, "Nah, dude, there's way too many athletes and 5-star guys doing those kind of gimmicks out in the indies. So like, you need to come up with something different." I was like, okay. I like hair metal music, like the '80s and all that, Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue. So like, I was thinking, ooh, maybe I could do like a rock star gimmick, but '80s themed. And we were like going with it for a few weeks. Like he actually was interested with it and all that. And then he was like, he came back from a booking in Florida, and he was like, "Nah, you can't do it." I was like, "Why?" And he's like, "We saw like 5 different rock stars at this one show." And I was like, "Come on." So what came to be the golfer gimmick, three of my friends went to do a booking in Florida, and they FaceTimed me, and they said, "All right, we had this idea. We've been passing up all these golf courses. We passed up road signs that say Springs and Springfield. I think you should do a golfer gimmick and be named Derek Springfield, or I don't really even remember the other option, like the name." And my face was so red because I was just embarrassed and like shocked that they just said that to me. That like I couldn't say anything, and they're all laughing at me. And I was like, "Are you serious?" And they're like, "Yeah." And so I got off the phone with them, and I was like thinking about it. I was like, you know what? I want to wrestle, so I'm going to do this gimmick. And when I started doing it, I started like actually liking it, and to the point where I started taking bits and pieces from movies and actual golfers and learning the lingo of golf, and like I just created this unique character, because we've had Hole-in-One Darso and Chavo Guerrero doing the golfer gimmick as well, and obviously neither one of them really got high up in the card. So I'm trying to make it to where it's different and not copying either one of them, but pulling from like the Caddyshack and Happy Gilmore and other golf movies and golf shows and all that, just to make it unique in mine, and hopefully bring it to a bigger promotion, and hoping they like it and letting me use it and show more people.
We definitely love the character. You know, I messaged you the other day. I literally binge watched Elev8 Pro, like I want to say about 10 shows the other night.
Right.
And your character was the first thing that jumped out to me. Right. And, you know, obviously we had talked before, but at the same time, I hadn't watched you go. And, you know, a lot of things stood out. You know, for someone that I just found out is only in the business for 2 years, you're really super talented. You completely sell the gimmick without a doubt. You know, I watched a video that you had sent us last night on YouTube, and I'm watching you interact with these fans, and they are stereotypical Deep South fans. And
right.
As New York guys, I'm going, this is awesome. I would love to just insult these people over and over. And it has to be awesome being able to do that.
Oh yeah. Being a heel, they say being a heel is so much easier than being a face. You can make someone hate you so easily, but getting someone to like you, it's a tougher thing. And so that's why, you know, you're not going to want to cheer for a golfer unless you're that white beat baby face, good guy, golfer on the PGA Tour. Like, they're going to boo me because they don't like golf.
I mean, I'm terrible at golf. Let's ask that. Do you actually play golf?
I have doused in it, but I don't play a lot of golf.
So we're going to put this on record right now. When Greg and I come down to watch you at Elev8 Pro at some point, when all this Corona stuff is gone, we're playing a round of golf.
Okay, we can do that.
All right. How we get our clubs down there, I'm not sure, but we'll figure that out.
I have a travel bag. Don't worry about it, man. We're good. We're good. We got this. It's not.
Yeah, y'all share. Y'all share.
We'll share.
It'll be fine.
Exactly. So, talk to us about your training. You were trained at Elev8 Pro, and you were trained by Benjamin Woods and Corey Constantinos, and Corey Constantine. What was that training style like for you?
Well, before the whole pandemic going on, we would do 2 nights a week, and we're working with this gym that they do different seasonal sports, so we have to work with their schedule. So at one point we're doing Mondays and Wednesdays, and then right now we were doing Mondays and Tuesdays before the COVID thing. But we were doing a lot of fundamentals, to where Ben wants you. He's the old school mentality. Like he doesn't really care about the flippy stuff. He doesn't care about spot. He wants you to learn these transitional moves and spots. He wants you to learn how to do the basics, to where when you are putting a match together, you don't screw up. Like, don't book or don't create a match where everything's so difficult to remember or everything's so difficult to put in place, and you can just pull in your back pocket, hey, here's a drop down leapfrog, hip toss, body slam, arm drag. Like, there's something that you can easily remember. And so Ben is just that really cool old school style that I love, honestly, and because like I said, I like old school stuff, like the Ric Flairs, the Randy Savages, Bret Harts. I like watching their stuff. And then Corey, he's more of a technical guy. So, and I kind of base my moves somewhat to the technical way. And so when me and him would get in the ring and do drills, we'd go a little extra and go an extra mile, and we'll start getting very technical with each other and putting each other in different submission holds or getting out of a wrist lock a whole different way than what the other trainees are doing, and just like feeding off of each other, learning new things from one another, and practicing other like new things that we come up with or see with each other, because we trust each other that much that we're like, hey, let me try this sunset flip power bomb or something. Like we trust each other that much that we can do moves and spots together and it'll go well.
So talking about Corey, obviously he trained you, but he's also probably one of your biggest rivals that you've had in Elev8 Pro. Can you tell us a little bit about that evolution from being a student under him to being a rival with him?
Right. Yeah. So like I just said, like how we mesh really good, and I never have thought that we would be able to, because our first encounter was episode 1 of Uprising, or something, not episode 1, but our first TV taping of it. We had our first match together, and it just felt weird and off. And after that, we had maybe 2 to 3 more matches together, and it just started clicking. And we ride together, or we used to ride together to training, and used to ride together to other bookings, and we went to a seminar recently, and we talked to each other a lot. And so when we would get in that ring, we just go with the flow, and our different character styles just mesh like really, really well. And I feel that he's probably, like you said, probably my best rival so far, and probably my best opponent in my eyes that I've ever faced in my short career, and he's just really good, honestly.
So, what were some of the things that were different than you anticipated when you made that transition from being a backyard wrestler to being a professional wrestler?
Cardio. Man, I can't tell you how many times I'm like dying after just doing a drill at training, and I'm just like, man, I didn't really think it had a like cardio was a big part of this, and it is. Man, like and then there's foot placement that you gotta remember. There's a certain way to lock up. But it's different. Like in Mexico, they do the reverse way of locking up compared to the States. And man, like it's backyard wrestling is like you're just having fun with your friends, and you're trying to make sure you don't hurt each other. But in professional wrestling, the indie scene, if you hurt someone, that's your ass, or excuse me, that's your butt.
It's okay.
Oh,
we're from New York, man. This is like curses or commas to us.
All right, I'm just making sure. And hey, you never know. And so like you just gotta be more professional and be more courteous of your opponent and courteous of people at training. Like you gotta make sure you're doing the right stuff. You can't be off your game, because then you're gonna possibly hurt someone.
So building off that, okay, go ahead, Greg.
No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
So building off that, tell me a little bit about the role of respect when it comes to the locker room as a young guy.
Well, is that like the respect to me or the respect to my peers?
Both.
Okay. It took some time, honestly, I guess, to earn respect from the others, or a few of them. Even Ben, like, I don't think Ben liked me at first because I was this like snarky, fresh out of high school guy coming to train, thinking like he already knows stuff by 3, 4, 5 months in, and he was tough on me. And then with my peers, like some of them were kind of around my age, some of them were a little older, some of them a little younger, and so a lot of them I could easily just like snap and we're buddies, we're friends. Others I had to like really work on being a little more mature and like just finding a connection with them to be able to earn their trust, earn their friendship. And with others, like honestly with me, like you got to be able to really hold a conversation with me and make like don't screw me over, and show that you actually are interested in being my friend and or doing anything. Like I got a guy that I just met before the new year. He just started training with us, and like now we're just like really, really good friends and at first I looked at him, I was like, this dude looks like a douchebag. And I was wrong. And I just had that, like sometimes like there was this guy that used to train with us, and I looked at him, I was like, man, this dude looks like a freaking prick. I don't like him. And then it took a couple weeks to be in the ring with him and being around him, and I ended up enjoying the time with him in training, and then ended up becoming good friends with him.
So building off that, what's in your travels, and you've worked all over the Southeast, what's the best advice you've received along the way, whether it's from your own trainers or anybody that you've run into at various shows?
Well, Best advice is that I've gotten. Tom Pritchard. That was the last seminar / show that I did before this whole COVID, and we did a 2-day seminar with him, and I cut a promo. We all cut a promo for like a minute, and he like did the whole, hey, this is 30, this is 15, 10, all that, and I was cutting my promo, doing all that, and then I had 10 seconds left, and I stopped, and I was finished, and he like pulled me to the side. He's like, it was a good promo. I like it. Like, you got your character over. You just got to make sure to use all the time you got, because you don't want to short yourself. Say you go on Raw and they give you a minute to tell the crowd who you are right before your squash match or right before your debut match. And he was like, you got to use your time as much as you can. And then he also said that he fucking loved my gimmick. So that was another thing. I loved that.
That's a seal of approval if I ever heard one, man.
Oh yeah. Other than that, people are just saying, like, be yourself. Don't be that guy where if someone comes in the locker room, they can feel your negativity. Like, you don't be that guy. Be like this. Every locker room you go into, it should be like a family. Like, don't come in there with negativity. Don't come in there with drama. Like, leave your personal life out. Like, you're there to put on a show for people. Do that. And then after you leave, worry about your personal life. Worry about you hate this guy or that guy hates you because you said something. Like, don't bring that into the ring. Don't bring that in the locker room, because then it's gonna just get everybody's mindset off and whacked.
Awesome.
How's the competition level between students within Elev8 Pro?
It ranges, because there's 14 or 15. I think he's 16. I don't know, around that age. This dude can go, and I love doing some drills with him because he's fast and very young, and so he has that stamina and that cardio to go as long as you want him to. And so there's that one certain kid that I like to work with. There's a bunch of other people that they're understanding what's going on and how to, like, put a match together, but they're just missing like one more thing in their brain to let it all click. And that was another thing that I was taught, that was a problem with me, where like I understood how to put a match together. I understood how to do the moves, but there was just one thing missing, that, like, to where everything would mix together. And then I guess after 20 or so matches into my career, I think it just started clicking, and then now I can honestly say I can put a good match together with anyone. And even if they're super green, like just debuting, like, I can honestly help them go through the match while we're doing it live or in training. And I honestly sometimes give out pointers, because I've been training for almost 3 years and then traveling for almost 2. So like the talent wise, it's great. Like, we have a whole plethora of different characters, and I'm loving it, because it's not like everyone's trying to be the same thing, or they're like a copy paste but tweak a little thing character. Like, I'm liking how our trainees are coming up with cool and unique ideas for characters, and I'm hoping that more people will come and want to train and bring their dreams to life.
So let's talk about some achievements that you've had in the ring. You know, early on in your career, you were lucky enough to be a part of the Tag Team Continental Cup champions with Marcos Espada. Tell me about that opportunity.
Honestly, that was not even supposed to happen. It was me and him were supposed to face each other. That was at our, I think, 2-year anniversary. 2-year anniversary, Ultimate Valor 2. And I was told, like, the week of, they were saying, hey, you're going to face Marcos Espada, blah, 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 blah. We get to the show, and the team that was supposed to be in the cup match backed out, and so the team that they were supposed to face is there with no team to face. So they said, all right, we're scrapping your match. We're going to put y'all together because y'all both are heels, and y'all going to face Tech, and y'all going to win the cup. And I was like, what? And uniquely, we don't have tag titles. That our tag titles is a cup. And frankly, golf, some of their people who win do get a trophy. That's what I'm trying to get to. And so when they said that our tag titles are a cup, I guess that it came into their head like, hey, we got a golfer. Let them win. Now he has a freaking big old trophy to carry around. So we held it for like 100 or so days, and it was fun. Like I love Marcos Espada. He's a really good, talented guy. He's just a very heart-to-heart guy, and he wants to make it big, man. He wants it bad, and I feel that with him. Like, I want this bad. And there's not that many people out there. Some of them are just doing it for fun, and others are just wasting time. And he's one of those guys where, like, you got to watch him, and please book this dude. Like, he wants it.
Awesome. Great story. So out of everywhere that you've kind of worked outside of, like, Louisiana, where your home base is, what was your favorite traveling experience? What was your favorite state to work in?
Recently I went to in February, I went to Oregon for the very first time, wrestling wise and just traveling wise. And I got the booking with DO8 Pro Wrestling, and with the booker was Ricky Gibson, and that dude, it's funny as hell. He was very nice and genuine to let me stay with him too. And Oregon is just so freaking beautiful, and the weather was like, I like cold, so like the weather was just perfectly cold but not too cold, and the people there were very nice. The venue is a comedy show, a comedy venue, and like the guy I faced was very nice. He's a California booker. And so Ricky put me in a match with him. Hopefully if the guy liked me, he was going to give me a booking. And other than Oregon, I like Texas. That was another first timer. We went to MPX Wrestling, me and Corey did. And so in Texas, Buc-ee's is a really big thing. If y'all ever travel to Texas, there's a convenient / gas station called Buc-ee's. It's super big, over 100 pumps for gas. Inside, it's like basically a Walmart, and it's everyone just goes there just to say they went because it's that big of a deal. And it's like the logo is a beaver.
Naturally.
Exactly.
That's awesome. We'll add that to the list of traveling stops when we take this show live.
Oh yeah. Do it in Buc-ee's.
We'll also see how many times Chris can give Greg a heart attack during our first interview podcast. So where do you see yourself 5 years from now? You'd still be very early in your career. What is your aspiration?
Dang, I haven't heard that question in a while. I, me personally, I want to be able to have said, hey, I went to Canada. Hey, I went to the UK. Hey, I've wrestled for the WWE. Or hey, I'm signed somewhere big. Like that's in 5 years. Like I'm looking at being way busier with wrestling other than my shoot job. Like I want to be able to say, hey, like I'm not gonna be able to work as much. I'm gonna have to transition to wrestling being my main pay, hopefully. And honestly, I'm giving myself a timetable of when I first debuted to, I want to say, I gave myself like 10 years or so. But then when I told someone that, they're like, so you're going to retire at 31 years old? And I was like, maybe 32. We'll see. which is again, in my head, like that's very young, but like I don't want to have gone 10 years to not get booked or not booked, signed anywhere and have wasted 10 years of my life. Like I want to, if I'm going to give myself 10 years, I have damn sure be signed somewhere big and making a name for myself. Like that is my ultimate goal, just to be signed to WWE or AEW or Impact, ROH, New Japan, like just somewhere, one of the big promotions.
I mean, just watching your progression, there's no doubt in my mind that if you keep working, you're going to get there.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, absolutely.
So obviously we've told you our original podcast is an old school wrestling podcast. Tell us about your favorite old school wrestling moment.
Ooh. Jeez. I don't know. I wouldn't say this is old school, but my favorite moment and something that really got me into wrestling was the Shawn Michaels and John Cena Raw UK match in 2007. And like I said, that's not really old school, but it's been what, 10
13 years ago,
years,
man. It's old enough.
Years. Yeah.
I mean, we'll allow it because you're what, 7?
Basically.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to allow that. For us, we would have been 27. So I don't know, but for you, we'll allow it.
That match, like even the WrestleMania match, because that's my favorite WrestleMania match ever. Like their Mania match at 23 was freaking phenomenal, and then the rematch, it was the week before Backlash of 2007. Like they went almost an hour. It was better than the WrestleMania match. I wasn't even paying attention to the stipulation. Like I was just watching it that hard that when Shawn won, I thought he won the WWE title because he ended up picking it up and holding it. And I was like, yo, they literally just let my favorite lose. And sure enough, the title wasn't on the line. But like that's how like invested I was in that match. Like I really thought John Cena lost the belt right before the pay-per-view. And right after that match, like a 6-year-old me, 7-year-old me was like, I want to do this.
That's awesome. And those are 2 of Greg's favorites.
Yeah, they are. Like, hey man, Shawn Michaels for my money. If I had like $100 to pay to watch one guy wrestle, I'd pay my money to watch Shawn Michaels wrestle. There's nothing wrong with that.
Not at all.
I mean, and I'll tell you a little bit of a story about our backgrounds. We were there. We were at SummerSlam 2002 when he came back, his first match back. And then
with Triple H.
With Triple H, and that was insane. And then we were lucky enough to be at Survivor Series later that year, where he won the title in the first Elimination Chamber match. And I'll tell you what, man, and like we're New Yorkers, and you know how big of a building Madison Square Garden is, and
Right.
I've been to Knicks playoff games, Rangers playoff games. We've been to WrestleMania there, and the loudest I ever heard that building was that night. The roof absolutely blew off that place, and like when for you to say that, I could relate to that feeling absolutely. And we were old enough to drink at that show, but it was it was amazing. So yeah, I definitely can relate to that, Brian.
And we actually met Cena that night too.
In the parking lot.
Really?
Yeah, in the parking lot. He was parked in the same lot that we did. Just good dude. Talked to every single fan there. Like that was right after he debuted against Angle, and couldn't be nicer. So when everybody likes to take their shots at John Cena, we'll always defend him because
Right.
you could tell that he loves what he does.
Oh yeah. Hey, so I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say I technically met this man at WrestleMania 34 or that weekend. Me, my best friend, and then my cousin. We all went down there. We did access for the very first time because we all went to 30, but we didn't do all that. We just went to the WrestleMania. So when 34 came around, we're like, okay, we're gonna go to access. We're gonna go to Takeover. Gotta go to Mania. Gotta go Raw. So we went to access, and then, or we went the day before we actually bought a ticket and went. So we just went into the Superstore and looked at all that because that's free to go in there. Looked at all the stuff. We're like, oh my god, this is awesome. Whatever. We X'd out the center. Get in my cousin's car. We're driving back to his brother's house who lives in New Orleans. And then there's this float driving by, going this way while we're going that way. And we're like, yo, I think there's some wrestlers on that float. And they're like, I'm like, Lane, hurry up, go up. And then we end up being like side by side with this float. Samoa Joe, John Cena, Sasha Banks, and then like one other person that I can't remember was on the float on our side. And when I saw John Cena, I'm like, what the fuck is John Cena? And he's like, it's me. And I was like, what the hell? And then they threw beads into our car because our windows were down. We were screaming at them. And so I like to joke around and mess with people, be like, yeah, I met John Cena.
That's what we do with our story too.
I mean, the better way to tell that story, though, I got to be honest. You should tell him that you showed John Cena your tits.
What does that even mean?
I think they'd like that more.
He threw
Right.
beads in his car. Why do you throw beads?
Oh yeah.
You're not from
Show
Louisiana.
those
I
titties.
can figure that out.
He got that. He ain't lying.
Chris, you got anything else, man?
So, let's give you an opportunity to plug some of your stuff, man. As we've said, we can't tell you how highly we think of you, and we're real excited that you were our first guest. So, kind of let the fans know who you are.
Well, thank you. It's been an honor to do this with y'all and be y'all's first guest. And like I said, I love doing podcasts, and hopefully I'll do a lot more. Fans, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Dale Springs Pro, or just search up on Facebook Dale Springs. I have a Pro Wrestling Tees store, ProWrestlingTees.com/Dale Springs merch. And other than that, YouTube, search me up on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. Not as many matches on there because sometimes I'll be in the flow of the show and I just forget to get someone to record my matches. But you can subscribe and like and comment and watch all the matches I have up so far. And always remember, I'm the man under par, but above you all.
Excellent. Love it, man. Thank you so much. We can't thank you enough for being on with us and taking the time out of your evening to spend with us. We're huge fans of yours, man, and we're hoping for great things for you, and hopefully we'll have you back on one day. How's that?
Yes, sir. Thank y'all. And I would love to be back on.
Thank you.
That would be awesome.
Awesome. Maybe we'll get you on to do one of our old school shows. We'll watch it on the network and then get you in on talking about it.
Oh, yeah.
We'll make you watch something from before you were born.
Oh, so a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us on our inaugural episode of the Indy Lounge. We're excited to see where this goes, but I don't know. It's going to be really hard to top the first one. You can follow me at Chris_HS or DDT HSLB. At some point, I will learn my Twitter handle.
You gotta work on that, man.
I've had it for 2 weeks, and I almost have as many followers as you, Greg. So
Lies.
stop it.
Dang,
Lies.
he got you, Greg.
That is untrue. And you could also follow our show at DDT Archives and our YouTube channel, DDT Archives, and we're on iTunes and Spotify, all the places you catch your podcasts. So make sure you check us out there. Once again, thank our guest, the man under par, Dale Springs. Thank you so much, man, for joining us, and we'll see you next time, man. Thank you.
Thank you.